First of all, thank you for talking with me. I know the situation is obviously volatile and hard, but I just would like you to introduce yourself, what you do, and kind of.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Kate. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to talk. So I'm the co-founder of Weasel Token, an indie game developer. We're actually just a team of two people. The second co-founder is my partner, Tay, who also lives with me. We are a couple, and we currently reside in Kyiv, which, as you know, is in quite a predicament. When everything started, I was working up late. It was past 4 a.m., I think, and I was just working on our game. Everyone else was asleep, and I heard some distant explosions and another, and I had to wake everyone up. We immediately realized what's happening because this whole situation has been looming over Ukraine for quite some months. Nobody really believed here that this full-out invasion would start. Some people like me thought it would just be a localized conflict, like, Putin just trying to take Donbass and that's it. Most people didn't believe anything would start at all. However, around 21st of February, when Putin gave his speech and threatened us with this whole notion of "I'll show you the meaning of true dehumanization," well, at that point, I did realize that something bigger will happen and that he was serious, very serious about it. Sadly, we didn't have much of a chance to evacuate or escape because it's just a hard thing to do with a family of four when you don't have a car, Plus, my grandmother has issues with her legs, so it would be hard on her especially. So despite realizing that this shit would hit the fan, we still just had to stay here and deal with it. When everything started, we had to move to our hallway, and we live here since day one. Because rooms are just too dangerous. There are windows or outer walls, so any explosion nearby would just be very risky to be nearby. And it's uncomfortable, but still better than in some shelter. We've had to avoid that option as well, because again, for my grandmother and mother too, it would be difficult to stay there for a prolonged period of time. We have our evacuation bags packed up, so we are ready to go at any sudden evacuation notice any moment. And I have even had to pack my laptop, so I am on my phone all week. And the situation is pretty dire, but honestly, everyone here, and by here I mean the whole Ukraine, is very optimistic. Many people thought we wouldn't stand a chance against the also great Russian military, but it turns out we can still put quite a fight. And with each day passing on without any major cities being taken, or even if they are usually getting taken back rather soon. With each day passing, everyone believes in our military more and more. Currently, going by the surveys, 90% of Ukrainians are ready to take up arms themselves. So yeah, it definitely isn't going to be an easy war for Putin, and we're very proud of it.
What are some things that you want people to know that we may not be getting from, our news programs, or even just what we see on social media? Is there anything that, you would like people to know more about?
Well, honestly, Russian propaganda is the most important enemy in the whole informational war. They're just super strong and very effective at what they're doing. So even if some disinformation comes from our side, usually it's just to, boost the spirits of people here. And the Russian side, it just twists everything around into the whole opposite situation. I have been to some Russian mass media websites just to check what their narrative is, and it's quite terrible. They just take any situation and try to put us in a bad light. From the start, they've been portraying us as some kind of Russophobic Nazis, but that's as far from the truth as it can be. Like, for example, they're saying that we're shunning Russian language, but me and my family and all of my friends have been speaking Russian here in central Ukraine for all our lives. It's just a very stupid notion that we have something against Russian language. Obviously, that doesn't make us Russians, like some British analytic, I think I've heard said, just because you speak English, it doesn't make you British. Well, it's the same here. And sadly, Putin doesn't think that way. He thinks that we need his saving, that we need his peacekeeping. All the while, he just keeps bombing our cities. And it's terrible just how different of a picture Russians get. Tons of those people just believe everything he says. I think I've heard figures like 40% of their population just thinks that we truly are some kind of Nazis or fascists. And we just hope that the awareness is getting spread, that that's not the case. Sadly, even those who do believe that we are not what they're portraying us like tend to keep quiet or neutral because they just think it's a hopeless situation and that Russians don't have a chance to fight the government at all. They're entirely, disheartened and think that it's time to just give up and relocate. I can mostly talk from the game development industry perspective, and in all the chats I've been a member of for a long while, they're usually a mix of people from Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, basically all the Russian-speaking countries. And no one's there ever differentiated people based on nationality, because as long as we can understand each other and we speak the same language, it's all fine. You can be from wherever. However, currently there is a quite apparent division between the members of those chats, because while Ukrainians obviously want to keep people aware of the situation and want to talk about war, because what else could we talk about right now? Russians just try to stay away from it. They're just, for the most part, in the professional chats, try to stay out of politics, shut down conversation regarding the topic, because there are many chats on the internet where you could discuss wars, they say. And obviously there are, but it doesn't mean that you have to shut us down just because of it. We're trying to reach those people who are still uncertain what's happening here, because there are many of those. And that's just what we want. We want to talk to them. We want to show them what's exactly happening. And oftentimes we just can't get this opportunity over there. They're just talking about the sanctions, about how to survive this whole SWIFT ban, and how do they get their money from Steam or foreign publishers. Obviously, it's a problem for them. We totally understand that losing your business is a very harsh affair. But hey, we are losing something more than just business here. So they could just, show a bit more sensitivity regarding the topic, I believe. Many Ukrainian members of the community have talked out against it, but well, what can we do if it's a chat moderated by Russians or administrated by Russians? Sadly, that's just what we have to deal with here.
And when it comes to the game industry over there, and you noted that a lot of it is collective, from Russian-speaking countries, like how is, from the actual development side, I'm assuming like one having to be able to move at a moment's notice, like you're not able to work or do anything on any sort of like gaming, but how do you think this is going to impact like the overall like games industry coming out of Ukraine and in this space, and how is it impacting you right now? And
that perspective is actually the best I can give, because I'm no soldier, I'm no some territorial defense member, so actually talking about game development is the thing I'm best at currently. Well, talking about the implications of this whole situation, I believe that first and foremost there will be a bit of a split in the community, and it won't quite be like it was before, because some people just won't forgive Russians. That's unavoidable. Most people totally understand that Russians are not to blame as a whole, and that it's not just the simple citizens deciding things like this. But, when they're, for example, like I've mentioned, shutting us down and not even letting us talk about it, obviously it will leave a bit of a scratch, a scar. And I think that the Ukrainian community of game developers will become a bit more independent, isolated, whatever you may name it. obviously it will affect the games topics that will be springing out in the future, because you can just survive a war and not consider that a vital experience of your life where it just influences everything you and how you think about it. I'm sure that, like, for example, our current project was started as a way to counter pandemic and self-isolation. We just wanted to give people some meaningful experience in a peaceful and cozy manner. I'm sure many games like this will also start coming out from Ukrainian developers, because that's just what people need after coming out of war.
Yeah.
Something to soothe your mind and wounds, something where you don't just constantly fight some enemies because it's not what you want to hear or see. Obviously, there will be some games talking about how terrible war is. It's not a new concept, but as we can clearly see, it's still an important concept to show, because some people are still insensitive about it, both from the gaming side of the world and not. For example, I'm following a Russian mass media website covering various gaming, cinema, etc. news, and quite a lot of people there just don't understand what's happening here. They think it's just some kind of peacekeeping operation by Putin. They believe that he just targets the military objects and nothing else. And they think that it will be over in a week or two and everything will be exactly like before it was. And, well, obviously they need to be shown that that's not the case. So basically I would think that those are the most important conclusions that we might get after the whole conflict ends. Isolation of our community in game dev in the whole post-USSR space, and the topics our games bring up.
And what are some ways that that people outside of the Ukraine can help, game developers now? Are there certain avenues to donate? Are there certain ways that they can get supplies or anything like that? Like, what are some ways that you think people over here can do to help y'all over there?
Yeah, definitely. For example, Ryan can share with you some links I've shared with him before to donate some money to both some charity funds and our armed forces. That would help a lot with our defense. For example, if you're just a gamer and want to keep playing your games, you can still help by buying some games that donate to our cause as well. For example, I remember This War of Mine, a famous game, just donating all of their profits currently to Ukrainian cause. Or I've heard of some games bundle on itch.io. It's also entirely related to this whole war and this whole madness. So even if you just want to buy a game, you might just want to see some games that donate a part of or whole of the profits to us.
Recently, there have been a few statements from games companies coming out, and I was wondering is this something you want to see more of, or how does that impact things?
Yeah, I totally want to see more of that, because it's clear that it at least influences the common people, because normally they stay out of it. For example, that website I mentioned is full of people who just think that, oh, hey, we still have our game, so it's fine. We don't need to get into politics. It doesn't matter to us. Well, it started mattering to them once Steam blocked payments in Russian rubles. And I've heard that today CDPR and Bluebird's team just took all of their games off the sale in Russia. So once they get more isolated in such normal ways, like just not getting some movies like the new Batman or not getting some games, they might realize that it's a very massive problem. That's issue for them as well, because they should be aware that obviously, while they're not the ones given the order to attack, they're still people of the government. They should be dictating what their government is doing, not the other way around. And currently, they just don't believe that they think that their whole state is such an oppressive police dictator that even if they go for some protests, they'll just be arrested. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they could, obviously, and they say that they think it's too risky or too dangerous. Well, back in 2014, people died here in Ukraine while protesting against Yanukovych. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
always a risk, and we understand that it's scary. But hey, living under that dictator is even worse, isn't it?
Yeah. Those are really all the questions I have. Is there anything else you would like to share, either about Weasel Token, your experience, anything?
Mm, I would say nothing specific. Usually I just address the gamers, but I've kind of did it already. I'll just
Yeah.
say that game developers usually try to enrich gamers' life, like help them through some harsh experiences. And developers over here are having those harsh experiences right now. So we would really appreciate any support or kindness that gamers could give us. Just, paying attention to who is making the game or donating to charity or just even buying games of local developers. Every little bit helps.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Alex.